Hi, so my patient that I'm going to be taking through a REMOM is seeking home health for poor posture. So everything I am trying to do is to promote opening that up and strengthening the back. Also going to be adding just some aerobic exercises because that is good for everyone. So for the warm-up, I would do 1 minute each, 2 cycles with rest breaks as needed. So the first one would be walking. So we could just walk it down the hallway for a minute. But I just am going to show you the next one, which is wall angels. So the patient is going to stand up against the wall and try to keep their elbows as close to the wall as possible. And then just up and down, just squeezing that back. And then we're going to go through that for a minute as well, just to get some mobility. Again, try to work on strengthening that back and just promote upright posture. And then after 1 minute there, we would then go into boxing to try to bring the heart rate up a little bit and just get a punching motion. So then the patient will have you take you through. You're going to punch. And we would do this for another minute. And once that was done too, again, we also want to just promote some more aerobic for the warm-up, and then we just would do standing marches, and if we needed the table for better balance, we could use it, but just marching, promoting a good upright posture, and just to get the heart rate up again. And then once we were done with the warm-up, again, I said we would do 1 minute each and 2 cycles through. We would begin the exercise portion. So I don't have a band available, but if I was a home health therapist, I would have at least a yellow band, red band with me. So the first one I would do is bilateral external rotation to really work the back scap muscles, again, to just promote strengthening the back. That would help open up that posture. So we would start here and then squeezing the shoulder blades together and just in and out. And again, for this one, I'm also going to use the 1 minute for each exercise. And for the exercise portion, we're going to go through 3 times per patient tolerance. Again, rest breaks as needed. And then the next exercise, we would do 3-way wall taps with a can. I don't have a can, so we're going to makeshift, and we'll use Smucker's jelly jar. So for this one, I want to promote just upright posture and reaching overhead. That could also help with, working in the kitchen or doing anything in the household. So I'll give this to you, patient, and we'll turn around, and in 3 taps, we'll go up and out to the left, come back down to center, up to the top, come back down to center, and then reaching up over to the right. And again, we would do this for a minute. We want to make sure that the patient is reaching up and out as far as possible. Again, and then have them stand close to the wall so that they can't do any flexion, reaching out, so they're forced to reach up and out. Again, we promote the posture. And after 1 minute there, the next exercise, I will take this patient, is going to be sit to stand. I think every patient would need this. It's a functional ADL that we need to work on, and then also to just incorporate better posture. We're going to have the patient make sure they're not hunching over when they're standing, again, keeping their shoulders nice and up. So patient, if you could please perform a sit to stand again, and then when we lean forward, keeping the chest up and out instead of rolling forward. And just again to strengthen the legs and help with that hip mobility for all their needs. So after, again, another minute, the next exercise is going to promote arm strength and, again, focus on back strength as well. We would use, so you can do a countertop. This is a bar height top table that we could use. We could even use the wall if this is too hard for the patient, and just do push-ups here. So have your hands right here and come on down and up. Beautiful. And if you wanted to make this harder or easier, again, you could go against the wall, would be easier. Here, moving the feet either further away or closer towards would also help gauge how much body weight they are pushing through their arms. And we want to make sure they're really squeezing their scaps as they're coming back down to promote the scapular strength. And then for the last exercise here, I'll have you do the seated chin tucks because everyone has a forward head posture these days, so we'd want to have the patient make themselves, give them a double chin and push that chin back to get all the posterior neck muscles to work and help, again, promote the better posture. And we would do this again for 1 minute as the patient tolerated. And once we go through that whole cycle, the plan is to go through 2 more times. Again, with any patient, we want to gauge what their ability is. So if they can do more, let's go more. If they need more rest breaks, we'll pull it back and do a little bit less. And then for the cool down, it's a lot about just mobility and stretching. So for the first cool down, I have open books, and I'd want the patient to do this ideally in bed, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to have her demonstrate on the floor here. So the patient is going to be laying on her side. And just to get thoracic rotation, we're going to have this hand reaching out over and have the eyes follow. Just to get mobility in the thoracic spine. Just to get mobility in the thoracic spine and help open everything up. A lot of people can get really tight, especially if there's a big kyphotic curve going on in the spine. And for this, I would split the 1 minute REMOM and do 30 seconds to each side. So after the 30 seconds, then I'd have the patient roll over to the other side and then perform just going this way. Oh, man. All right, and then the next one again is for, I'm going to have her seated up on the chair. So I will move this back up. And this is also to promote thoracic mobility. I'm just going to move this up a little bit here. So we'll do a thoracic extension over the chair. And so you'd use the chair as like the hinge and just have the patient look back and lean back as far as they can, making sure they're taking nice deep breaths while doing so. And this is, again, just to promote that mobility in the T-spine. And then also a problem with poor posture is tight in the front, so tight hip flexors. So the next stretch I'd want to do is a standing hip flexor stretch. So if I have you stand up, and I'll demonstrate. So you would just be right here. You can hold on to anything and just taking a lunge and just leaning back until you feel the stretch in the front of the thigh. And again, with any of the bilateral ones, we would do a 30-second hold for each side. So after 30 seconds, we would then switch legs and stretch out the other side. And then to make it a bigger stretch, we could take a bigger lunge. If less of a stretch is needed, a smaller lunge. And then the next stretch I want to do is a seated hamstring stretch. So Hannah would sit here at the end of the chair, edge of the chair, stick one foot out, just kind of give a, stick one foot out far, and then flex that toe up, and then good posture leaning forward. And we would do that again for 30 seconds on each side. And the last but not least stretch is to stretch out the pecs. Those can often get really tight when we have poor posture. So what I would have, it's a door, we can do a doorway or any open wall available, a doorway pec stretch, and I'll have you do it here. So the patient puts one hand up and just stretching. Here, I want you to come to this one and just face that way, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And just take a little step forward or lean forward as far as you need to feel the stretch in the front of the chest. And again, we would just hold this for 30 seconds and then switch, and you can turn around and face this way just to even that out. And that would be the end of our cool down for this patient. So to progress the patient, I mentioned a little bit about the push-ups, just making them harder or easier. If the patient did take a lot of rest breaks or lengthy rest breaks in between any of the REMOMs, for the next to progress, I would just shorten the rest breaks if possible, and then we could also increase the weight. So maybe get 2 of these jars for the reaching. We could up the resistance band in the bilateral extra rotation. And then also in the warm-ups, if we wanted to progress that, we could just do faster movements. So faster punches, we could try faster walking and faster marching. But again, that's all per patient tolerance, and we would just try to gauge how they're feeling and how they're progressing. So that is my REMOM. Thank you.